Hello and welcome to Pastor Joel Easy Cooking. Today I'm going to show y'all how to make the best homemade pancakes and the best syrup for your pancakes. We're going to be adding berries and I'm going to show you how to make that right now. Let's get started. To make your berries, all you would need is about a cup, and I'm going to make servings for two people, and I'm going to add about a cup and a half of berries. And these are the mixed berries. You can get them anywhere, Walmart, grocery stores. We got strawberries, blueberry, blackberries, raspberries. These pancakes are going to taste delicious. We're going to also add about a half a cup of sugar to this mixture. And what I've got here is about a half a cup of sugar. Okay. You want your stove to be on low or medium low, and you don't want to burn this. You want to bring it to a slow cook until they're softened. You also want to add about a quarter cup of water to your mix, and that's going to help make the syrup. Okay, we're going to add a pinch of salt, and I mean a pinch, like a small pinch of salt. That's too much. I'm just going to pinch a couple little pinches. And there we go. We're going to add a little bit of vanilla. When I say a little bit, about a half a teaspoon of vanilla. But we're going to add more later if you like, but you don't have to. I know a lot of people add their vanilla after things are heated up, but because we're not cooking it on high, we're cooking it on medium low, we're going to be just fine. Okay, next, we're going to stir this a little bit. Bring it to if you want to get your pan hot, kind of speed up the process, turn it up on high or medium high, and then turn it down afterward. You're also going to take a little bit, and I mean a little bit, of ground cinnamon, a couple pinches if you will, throw it into your syrup. And this is going to make, I'm actually going to add a quarter more cup of water to make a little more syrup, if you will. So about a half a cup, in essence, is really what you want. So now, and also because I added a half a teaspoon of vanilla, so that's going to kind of lighten the flavor of the vanilla. But I like vanilla. If you like vanilla, type in the comments, I like vanilla. So as you can see here, our mixture is real watery. It's not real thick. Okay. And now, the next thing we want to do is add about a teaspoon and a half, depending on how thick you like your syrup. I'm going to add about a teaspoon and a half in this cup, measuring cup, and I added a little bit of water, and I may not even use all of this. And so my pan is really hot now, so I'm turning it down. And so I'm mixing up, and you could make as much if you want to make more. You could add a little more water to your mixture on your pan where your your fruits are. But I've got this ready, and you want to use cold water when you do this. This is about a teaspoon and a half of cornstarch, and a little bit of water. And we're going to slowly add this to our pan, and it's going to thicken up the syrup. As you can see right now, the syrup is not thick. It's real watery, like liquid, because we have not added our cornstarch. So I've got all these berries. I've got the sugar, vanilla, pinch of salt, cinnamon, and if you want to really add flavor, you could add a drizzle of honey if you like. These pancakes are real easy to make. They're delicious. They're restaurant quality, homemade pancakes, and they are absolutely delicious, especially with this syrup that we're making. So as our pan gets hot, we're going to slowly add our mixture here of cornstarch and water. I'm going to add a little bit and give it a stir. And notice I haven't even used a lot of this. I probably used a teaspoon of this. And then I'm going to add another maybe teaspoon or so. And that should be plenty. So I'm probably not even going to use this. Because you're going to see as this cooks, it's going to thicken. And we're going to have syrup. So as it cooks, we're going to continue to watch this. It's not going to take long for it to come to a simmering heat, if you will, heat where it gets hot and it begins to thicken. And this is going to be our syrup. Really delicious, great on pancakes. And you could add more sugar if you'd like to make it more sweeter, if you like. So I'm turning my heat up to about 6 on the dial, 6, 7, to get it good and hot now that I've added my cornstarch. And when you add your cornstarch, keep stirring. And the reason we added our cornstarch to the water is because you don't never want to throw cornstarch into hot food because you'll create lumps in your gravy or syrup in this case. So you add it to cold water and slowly add it in. Here it is, our syrup is starting to thicken. When it's done, I've got this, and I'm going to set this aside for our syrup, and then I'm going to show you how to make the best pancakes. Homemade, restaurant quality, delicious pancakes. Now I want to share something with you. If you get your syrup too thick because you added too much of that cornstarch mixture, all you got to do, see, I'm going to turn it back down. It's starting to boil here, or not boil, but come to a really good heat. Now, our syrup is really thickening up. Look at our syrup. This is going to be absolutely delicious when you put these on top of your pancakes. But I'm going to add a little more water because I like my pancake syrup just a little bit more runny. Plus, it makes more. So, at your discretion, you make the syrup as thick as you like it, and that's probably right where I like it. So I'm going to mix this up just like that, and but you do want to get it to a boil and turn it back down immediately, and that way your cornstarch will cook, and you'll taste the fruit and not the cornstarch, if you will. So yeah, this is going to be really good. Our syrup is just about the way I like it. A little runny, needs to thicken up. As it heats up, it's going to thicken. So I've got it turned up to about 7 right now, and then I'm going to pull it off and set it aside and let it cool down before I put it into the Tupperware. So here it is. You can see it's starting to see I got the flame. Now I've got to let it heat up for a moment. There it goes. It's starting to bubble. And I'm going to turn this down to low. Let it sit right there. Just let it simmer. Okay, so our syrup is done. See how easy that was? Delicious, homemade, fruit flavored syrup. No additives, preservatives, just pure goodness in every bite. Strawberries, blueberries, blackberries. Okay, we've got some really good syrup here. Okay, now let's focus on making the pancakes. And I'm going to show you how to make restaurant style quality pancakes. And I'm going to show you all the ingredients that are going to go into our pancakes. And I want to point something out before I forget. I want to point out that you want to use lard instead of butter when you cook your pancakes. And let me, lard, Crisco, anything like that to cook your pancakes. Okay, so I'm going to use Crisco. Batch here we got. And what we're going to do is not use a lot, but we're going to put a little bit in our pan. And the pan that I'm going to be using, you could use any pan you want, but I'm going to be using my cast iron skillet, my pan, to make these pancakes. I'm going to cook one at a time, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And by the way, if you have a cast iron skillet, that's how you want your skillet to look at all times. A lot of people don't know this, but you're not supposed to use soap when you wash your pan. You're supposed to scrub it, water, warm water, something to scuff anything that sticks to it. But if you keep it oiled afterward, after you wash it, you immediately dry it. You put oil on it, and your pan will stay like this forever. And you'll have years and years of use. And it's going to be good. Okay, so I'm turning my pan up to about 3 on the so when we get ready to cook our 3 or 4 on the dial on an electric stove. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you everything you need. You're going to need a whisk, a bowl of about that size or so. You're going to need 2 cups of flour. Okay, there's my lard. You could use lard or Crisco. I'm going to use the Crisco, but the lard will work. Okay. The butter is going to be for after our pancakes. Excuse me, just one second. So sorry about that. So the butter is after our pancakes are cooked, we're going to cut little pieces of butter to put on top of our pancake. But we're not going to cook the pancakes with butter. We're going to have fluffy pancakes, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we've got 2 cups of flour, 1 3/4 cups of milk. I've got here a half a teaspoon of salt. I've got 4 teaspoons of baking right here, and I'll show you what I've got. Powder, not baking soda, but powder. You want baking powder, 4 teaspoons. I've got a 1/4 cup of sugar, and I've got approximately 2 or 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. If you want to cut it back or not even use the vanilla, that's fine too. I've got 2 eggs that we're going to put into our batter. So let's get started. Let me crack my eggs, and I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to crack our eggs, and we're going to mix this up so the eggs will mix into our batter. And what I do is I take a little bit of that milk and just pour it in, just a little bit, pour it into our eggs right here, just to get your eggs good and mixed, just like that. That's all you want. Okay. Now, I take my liquids, my vanilla, and I'll pour it into the eggs. So that's my wet, if you will, with the milk. So I've got that set aside. So now what I'm going to do is take the flour, 2 cups of flour, pour that into my bowl. I'm going to take the baking powder, and I'll show you, put it down where you guys can see it, and I just kind of mix it up in there. There's my baking powder. I'm going to take my sugar. That's a 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm going to also kind of mix that up in there. And so the last thing I need is my salt, and that's a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Mix that up in there. And before you pour your liquid into your to your flour, you want to give this a good mix. I mix it really well, so that way it all gets combined and flavor in every bite. So that's probably good right there, okay? I get the edges. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to pour my milk into this batter, 1 3/4 cups of milk. And I'm also going to pour my eggs, the 2 eggs. And if you like, you could, these are 2 large eggs. I know some recipes call for 1 egg, but I'm going to tell you, if you add the other egg, you'll just have more flavor in your pancakes. Now, I'm going to begin mixing this. And you want to mix this, but you don't want to overmix it. What I mean by that is I'm going to mix it till I got a nice, thick, consistent batter. And that's why you just want to mix it by hand. You're going to see some lumps. I'm going to get rid of the big lumps, but I'm going to mix it just like so. Make sure you mix all your ingredients together. And now we've got the perfect batter for pancakes. Now let me tell you the mistake a lot of people make when making pancakes. They either add too much liquid or they add not enough. If you add too much liquid, your pancakes won't fluff up. If you don't add enough liquid, they become thick and dry, and they don't taste good. So what I'm going to do is give it one good stir. There's a few little small, tiny lumps, which is fine. So now I'm going to show you this mixture right there. Almost looks like cake batter. Okay. Now, I'm going to let that sit on purpose for a few minutes while I heat up the pan and let everything mix. And to heat the pan up, we're going to move the camera over here. And now, what I'm going to do is take some of this Crisco. And here's a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to go with like 2 or 1/2 teaspoon of Crisco or lard. But don't use butter. Use Crisco or lard. That's going to help fluff up your pancakes. So, we're going to make sure we got the lard everywhere it needs to go. Okay, now I'm going to share with you. So I've got the pan well oiled with lard. I've got my pan hot but turned down. You want to heat the pan, but then you want to turn it down to about 4.5. You don't want to cook your pancakes on high because that's not going to be good. Okay, that's not going to taste good. And so my next step is I'm going to take my batter and I'm going to show you how to cook these pancakes. Very easy. So, but before I do, let me rid of this pan. And what I'm going to do, see how thick look at my pancake syrup. So I'm going to pour this in here so I can get rid of this pan. And this is all delicious syrup we're going to have on top of these pancakes. Easy to make homemade syrup. Your friends and family will love it. You'll love it. I've never made these pancakes where someone said, I don't like them. Okay, so there's our syrup for our pancakes, and there it is. So I'm going to set that aside. And now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. This is a 1 cup serving, if you will, right? You could make them small with 1 cup, but what I like to do is I like to do this right here, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I like to take this and pour this into the pans right in the center, slowly, about half of it. And I'm going to let it cook for about 60 seconds or so, about a minute, on purpose. So you can make small pancakes just like that, especially if you got kids, they like the smaller pancakes. But as that sits there, notice I don't have any mix around the pancake. Everything's in the center. I'm going to let it sit. We're almost there. And then now what this does, it's going to help fluff your pancake, and it's going to give you a golden on the outside of this. So it's cooking. I'm going to turn it up to about 5 on the pan, 4.5, 5 on the fire, on the stove. And then now I'm going to go ahead and right in the center, I'm going to pour. Notice I'm pouring it right in the center because it's going to spread, because you want thick, fluffy pancakes. And I did that on purpose. Now we're going to have fluffy pancakes when I pull this off. Now, another secret you want to know is don't start flipping and checking your pancake. Let it sit there until you see bubbles starting to form at the top of this pancake. When you see bubbles starting to form and it's covering the top of this pancake, then you take your spatula and begin to lift to check to make sure you got that golden brown. And you want to flip it 1 time, and that's all you need is 1 flip per pancake. So I'm going to get a plate ready. I'm going to show you these delicious pancakes. They're absolutely delicious. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. The first one, for some reason, will always turn out a little darker because your pan is adjusting. And by the way, in between pancakes, I'll let the pan reheat itself back to its temperature. There goes. We're starting to get the bubbles. I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me move a little closer. There we go. I've got the dial set to about 4.5 right there. And I could smell the delicious smell of these pancakes. So you see these bubbles starting to form? We're not ready yet. It needs to. I got it too high. I'm going to turn it down to about 4. And this first pancake's always going to be darker than the rest of them. But let's see. If I lift up and show you, well, I can't show you because it's not quite. There we go. We got a golden pancake. There we go. Turning it down because I had the fire too high. And here we go. This is going to give us a nice pancake. Let's see here. We're almost there. We've got the bubbles forming. And so I'm going to see if I can show you the bottom of these pancakes. See? Golden brown pancakes. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and just flip it 1 time. And we've got a golden brown pancake. The first one always comes out darker, and you'll see. I'm going to let it sit right there, right where that pancake landed. I'm not moving it or anything. I want those bubbles that are formed in the center to create the fluffiness that we need for texture. Okay? And while we're doing that, I'm going to ask Brother Keith to come on over here for a second. You could add walnuts, macadamia nuts, pecans, whatever nuts you like to your pancakes, even to your batter, and cook them into the mixture. This is Brother Keith. He's part of the church. But so I've got walnuts, macadamia nuts. You can add whatever nuts you like. Now, keep in mind, I'm not adding any nuts to this, and there's several reasons. Some people are allergic to nuts, so if you do add the nuts, you better tell them, or should tell them, hey, there's nuts in here. So anyway, this pancake, let me show you how fluffy it is. Do you see how fluffy this pancake is right here? This pancake is done. Look how fluffy that pancake is. I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, so we've got a nice golden pancake. There it is. Perfectly cooked pancake. But the reason I'm not adding the nuts is because Brother Keith can't have nuts. And I'll let him explain. Brother Keith, you want to share your testimony as to why I'm not adding the nuts?
Yeah, I just undergone cure for radiation and chemo for throat cancer, and it's taken a while for me to be able to start to eat. And now I'm starting to eat a little bit, but nuts or meat is really hard on my throat. And that's why he's going to do it for me like this.
Thank you for sharing. And by the way, keep Brother Keith in prayer. Thank you, Brother Keith. He's recovering from cancer and, had cancer in the throat and so forth. So God healed him. He got a good report, but he's still sore and trying to recover from where he could swallow. So we're not going to put the nuts. It's not because he's allergic to them. He said he loves them, but he can't have them. Okay, we're going to make our next pancake, and you're going to see how much better. I let the pan heat up for a minute, and then I'm going to add another little teaspoon of lard, or in this case, Crisco. Okay, and we're going to continue to make these pancakes. I'm going to make sure the pan is well oiled in the center, where I'm going to pour the batter, and we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to take about a cup, and I'm going to add about a half a cup right in the center, right there. Let that sit, and that's going to help create the fluffiness in the pancake. I'll show you what I mean by that. If you look at this pancake, look how fluffy it is. I don't know if you could see the fluffiness of this pancake. Those are fluffy pancakes. That's what you want. Well, good texture, well cooked. So now, and I'm not quite using the full cup. I'm using probably really about a 3/4 cup to make a pancake that size. And so as this pan cooks this pancake, I'm going to go ahead and pour the other to make it a little bit bigger, right in the center. That's about it right there. So I didn't use quite the whole cup, probably 3/4 of a cup. And so when these pancakes are done, at this point, we could do this. As each pancake comes out of the pan, we can put a little slither of butter on top of each one, and that's going to give you the butter flavor on your pancake, and that's going to be delicious. So, and I apologize. I apologize. My phone is blowing up today for some reason, and I don't like to shut my phone off because sometimes people call. I'm a pastor, and sometimes people call and so forth. So I like to keep my phone handy, and I can call them back. So here we go. We got this pancake. It's cooking. And by the way, on this batter, um, you could add a pinch of uh, cinnamon, and it'll give you, or you could do this right here. You could, like on this one, I'm going to go ahead and just add a little pinch of cinnamon right on top of that pancake, just like that. Not a lot. See the pinch of cinnamon I added there? Maybe just a little more. Just a little pinch. There we go. That's plenty. And that's going to give you some cinnamon flavored pancakes. So yeah, this is really good. So I'll make both of these. I'll pour some our homemade syrup right on top. In fact, I'll go ahead and start doing that now. Our syrup is still warm from when we made it, and this is the syrup. See? Give that a good stir. And that's what you got right there. Homemade, delicious pancakes. Brother Keith, there you go. So praise the Lord. I want to thank y'all for watching. By the way, this batter, I've got enough here to make about 3 or 4 more of these pancakes that size. So in essence, you'll have 4 to 6 pancakes, depending how big, when you use the 2 cups of flour and the batter that I showed you to use. But these pancakes are going to be absolutely delicious when you taste them. They're going to be fluffy. They're cooked correctly. The Crisco helps to make them even more fluffier. And the homemade syrup is going to be absolutely delicious. And what I like to do sometimes, I'll mix a little maple syrup with my syrup, give it a little more flavor. But yes, I want to thank you. Keep watching. And do me a big favor, if you will. Take the moment right now. If you've watched this video and you've enjoyed it, please help get our channel out. We need help. We're trying to grow this channel to help others, to cook, to learn how to cook. And these are ingredients you probably have already in your pantry. And so our goal is to help people to learn how to cook delicious food. There's our next pancake. Remember I told you the other pancake's not going to be as dark? And it's fluffy. It's real fluffy. But yes, please do share the channel, like it, comment. That helps with the algorithms, apparently, from what I understand. So please help me personally to get this information out to the hands of others so others can enjoy it. And we always not only just teach people how to cook, but we like to encourage people while we're cooking. We want to encourage you today, or I want to personally encourage you that no matter what you're going through, the Lord Jesus Christ knows exactly what you're going through, and you can actually call upon God and say, Lord, help me in what I'm going through. And guess what? God hears those prayers. Those heartfelt prayers that you make with God privately, God hears them and he answers them. So be encouraged. I want to thank you again. God bless you. And till we post another video, God bless. Bye-bye.